Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday and Merry Christmas. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's 3:33 a.m. on the dot here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Again, I want to say a Merry Christmas to everybody. Today, I know I've said this before. I know I said, I'm going to make another video today. And then I never do. Today, mark my words. I'm going to this is going to be the worst Christmas that I ever had back when I was using, and I want to share that with you guys today to hopefully realize how lucky you are, and how bad substance abuse is and addiction. But that's the original. This is going to be this video. But this morning I started looking at Right Wing Watch on Twitter, and whenever I'm in the mood to get really angry, I go on Right Wing Watch on Twitter, and sure enough, there's two videos on there that I have to talk about. There's one in particular. It's two incel right wingers. John, I can't remember his name now, and one guy that looks like Carrot Top. And they're talking about John Adams and the Constitution, and that striking women is as American as apple pie. And if the boomers saw the women that were out there, the soulless women that are out there right now, they would understand that it's okay to. It's some of the most offensive. It makes me so angry. It makes me want to disassemble people in literally. Don't get me going. That's going to be the next video. The worst Christmas I ever had. Let me give you some foreshadowing. This is around. I got fired from this job because of a failed drug test in 1997. I was a Teamster truck driver for Yankee News in Waterbury, Connecticut. Union truck driving job. This around 1994, 1995. I was making good money back then. I was bringing home about, probably about $700, which would probably be equal to $1,200, $1,400 a week today. It was really good money. I remember my non-union bosses saw my paycheck, and they couldn't believe how much money. I was making more money driving the truck than my manager, non-union bosses that were in the office, and that ticked them off. Okay, so I hadn't even gotten addicted. I had never even touched opiates at this point. 1994, 1995. I was in the heaviest part of my cocaine and crack use. And I knew Christmas was coming, and every week I would get paid. I told you guys, I went one whole winter here in Connecticut without heat, without cable, without a car, without a telephone. There was no cell phones back then. I had to walk about a mile to a payphone whenever I wanted to make a phone call for my drugs. And I got paid, literally, I got paid what would be equal to $1,200 a week, every week. And every cent of it went, on the day I got paid, every cent of it went for mostly cocaine, crack. Okay, so I kept putting off buying my Christmas presents on this one particular year. And it was Christmas Eve. We worked on Christmas Eve. And there was a Christmas party, and I would stop at a bar on the way back from my run down to White Plains to Yonkers, and I would come back up to Connecticut, and I would stop at a bar, and they dealt drugs out of this bar. They're still in jail right now. They got caught with 4.5 pounds of cocaine in their house, and they're as far as I know, they're still in jail today. The people that own this bar. And I would stop in there and I'd buy what we call a 16th. And that was just the start. Then I would go back to the warehouse, and we had the Christmas party. And I had saved all my plan was I was going to do all my Christmas shopping after this party. I had no car, right? So Christmas party, I was drinking, and I still had a good maybe $600-$700 left in my pocket out of $1,200 at this point. And I was going to buy all my Christmas presents, then hop on the bus, go home, wrap them Christmas Eve, and everything would be great. This plan was already bad to begin with. So after the Christmas party, I went up to the mall. It's an urban center, and I took the bus up the street to the stores, and I walked into the stores, and I was all high, and the stores were packed. And I walked in. There's tons of people, and I was just like, screw this. And I got back on the bus, and I took it back to the suburbs. While I was on this bus, there was another girl that was going all the way out to the suburbs with me, and I recognized her. She lived near me. And she was another person that obviously used cocaine. She was very skinny, under 100 pounds, missing a lot of her teeth like I was. Seriously. And we started talking on the bus ride back home. I was like, yeah, I'm going to party a little bit. You want to come over? And, yeah. And then I found out, too, the reason she was taking the bus back is she had bought all these toys for her nieces and nephews. And then Christmas Eve, she brought them all back to the stores to get refunds so she could have more money to use right then, Christmas Eve. So she had purchased presents, but she had just brought them all back and returned them. I don't know what her plan was for the next morning, and she probably didn't either. So she was going back home with all this money. I was going home with all this money. And it was about 6 p.m. Christmas Eve, and we were both already considerably buzzed. So I got home, and the night just went as you would expect. We probably finished what we had, ordered more, finished that. I've told you guys in a video about 3 videos back, about intimacy and using, that it's a lie, it's a myth. I remember that night, we would flirt and the clothes would start to come off and there'd be flashing, and then you want to use again. It never happens. There's no completion of the act. It's just because the drugs are more important than the sex. Seriously, every single time this happens. So that's how the night went, with the drugs being the main, cocaine, the crack being the main focus of the evening. And I remember she left around 1 in the morning, thinking she had to get home or whatever. So I made another call, last of my money. I did not have a cent left. Out of, say today, it would be like $1,400. Not a penny left. I just got paid. She knew I was calling, make another call. She came back, and we sat there till about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, using up every last bit of it. And then the reality hits. Then the depression hits. Now it's about this time, Christmas morning. She's like, well, I got to get out of here. She walks out the door. There was no intimacy, no, maybe I saw a little boob or something. That's about it. Both of us with all of our missing teeth. And I'm sitting there, and it hits me. In about 6 to 8 hours, I'm supposed to be at my parents' house with presents. They've been asking me what I want. They've all, my sister, my family, they all got presents for me, and I have nothing. And they know I got a good job. They know I just worked that day. They know I just got paid that day. And I don't even have a card. I don't even have enough money for a dollar scratch-off ticket. Nothing. My depression just gets worse, because now I'm jonesing. I'm coming down from the drugs, and I really want things to end at this point. The depression. I remember this is almost 30 years later, and I still remember how bad this was. I called up my family that morning, and I probably made up some lie about I'm sick, I don't feel good. I think I fessed up. Eventually I just fessed up. I said, look, I don't have presents, and I probably made up some lie. I was mugged. I lost my wallet on the bus, something like that. I'm sure I did. And my family said, we don't care. You got to come over. You got to be here. We just want, as long as you're here, it doesn't matter what you bring. It doesn't matter if you're sick. Just your gift to us is you being here. I couldn't say no to that. And then, to be honest, at that point, it made me feel undeserving. It made me feel worse at that point. I was so blessed to have this family that, that this is when I talk in other videos about a loss of control. How that's to this day, that's the worst thing. That's the most scary thing in my life. If I lose control, I talk about my anger sometimes. And that's what I mean. That night, I lost my control. I knew what was going to happen. I knew that I would be so in such a black, dark place that I would want to cease to exist. But yet, I did it anyway. It's a loss of control. And it's going to put you in the worst place of your life, and you can't stop yourself from doing it. I know people that never dealt with this have a hard time comprehending that. Just don't do it. You know, believe me, if it was that easy, there wouldn't be so many addicts today. So I went over there, and I remember I had a Stephen King book, because I delivered books. That was my job at Yankee News, and I had a few hardcover books, Stephen King hardcover books. I didn't even have wrapping paper. I think I put a bow on them. I brought them over. Here's my gifts. You know, already pre-read books from 5 years earlier, which is just made it all that much worse. My family was great. You know, my family, you know, you see the love in their eyes. They're just happy that I'm well, that I'm there. But you see that disappointment. You know, they know what I'm capable. They know the person that I can be, that I should be. And you see that look in their eyes, you know, and that their concern for you and their love, you know, and it's crushing. It's you feel so blessed, but at the same time, you feel like you don't deserve this, you know, and the hatred and anger you feel for yourself, for what you put you know, how could I have ended up in this position, you know, and yeah, that was one of the worst Christmases I ever had. Something to think about. All right, I will be back today with 2 more videos, and thankfully Christmas today is nothing like that. I buy presents. It's not about presents. Anyway, you guys, I'll be back later with more videos, you guys, and I promise today. You guys have a great Merry Christmas. I'll be back in a while.